Hello, so welcome to another episode of Thoughtzilla, and I'm your host Manish, and I'm not joined by Sai Shekhar today for some technical reasons. And today I have with me the Deputy Director and Trustee at Ballari Institute of Technology and Management, Prithvi Raj Bhupal, sir. Welcome to the podcast, sir.
Thank you, Manish, for having me here.
So, sir, I just want to start by asking you this because a lot of students are asking these questions and maybe there's no clarification anywhere. So, when do you think the colleges will start, and when they start, what's the social etiquettes on the campus gonna be like?
Manish, we are following the requisite orders that have been put forth by the University Grants Commission. As and when the University Grants Commission, as well as the statutory bodies such as All India Council for Technical Education, and subsequently the university, the Vishweshwara Technological University, as and when they give us the instructions when to start and when to begin the classes, based on their inputs only we will be able to start our institution. But definitely the statutory bodies as well as my institution, we want to start the classes taking all the precautions into considerations. We have suggested a lot of options to the statutory bodies. One is to have an odd even formula. Instead of a
Mhm.
class of 60, we can make it a class of 30 itself, and
Yeah.
run it on an odd even formula. The one thing which
Okay.
students have to bear is it will be a longer college hours. Instead of a regular 9 to 4:30, probably they have to come back much earlier. Report
Okay.
the college is going to start much earlier, and then it's going to end bit late because since the college will be functioning for one particular student only for about a 3 to 4 days to cover up the
Okay.
syllabus, to cover up the practical aspects, as well as making justice to the particular subjects. We need subsequent of amount of information, and that needs to be disseminated to the students. Then only we will be able to do a justice for it. But definitely the all the statutory bodies, including the universities, the government bodies, everybody are working to ensure that we start the institutions with due diligence to all social distancing, due
Okay.
care, where regular fumigation of the classes are taken place. The simple SMS, social distancing, wearing mask as well as using hand sanitizer will be the
Okay.
norm. Definitely, I feel government should start the higher education because
Hmm.
we cannot keep this on abeyance for a pretty long time. With the due precautions, we can definitely start, and with a odd even formula kind of an method. And we have to keep the ball rolling. If we cannot accept this the new normal where the entire
Yes.
classes to be engaged in an online mode. There to some level it is possible in technical education, but especially for the practical subjects, the mathematical subject, it does require a human intervention. Yeah, this is my
Okay.
honest view about the way we should go forward in terms of the post lockdown, how to open up the universities and colleges and start opening it up. But we are awaiting what's going to be the outcome. I think within a couple of days or something we should get some clarity regarding that.
Okay, so let's just move away from COVID thing and let's just lay back and talk talk about your childhood, your schooling, and how was it like? Which school did you study in?
Yeah,
Can you?
I was born in Bangalore. Then later, and I studied for about a few months or a year in Bangalore in a kindergarten, and subsequently, when shifted to Bellary. My initial school, I studied in a Bala Bharati initially for
Okay,
few months because it was quite near to my home, and then since all my cousins and my brother and my sisters were studying in St. Philomena's. Before St. Philomena's school, I had a co-ed education till seventh standard for
okay,
the boys. So
okay,
my entire my schooling from my kindergarten level till my seventh grade was at St. Philomena School. I was quite active in school days too. I was the sports captain there,
Okay.
and we had a very good football team. We went to the state level and
Okay.
participated in the state level. That's where my liking for sports started, and the initial foundations were laid there. And then, obviously, after the seventh standard, we have to move out, and then my journey took elsewhere. Yeah.
Okay, sir. So you did your masters in the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, right?
Yeah.
So how was the transition from Indian education system to an abroad system? So what were
I
the
would just
key
like to go
differences that you
back.
found?
Yeah, I would just like to go back a few, before I went for my masters. Let's just like to go back to after my seventh grade. The
Okay.
most important phase of my life was between eighth grade till my 12th, which I did
Okay.
in a very renowned school in Karnataka, which is called Ramakrishna Vidyashala, Mysore, which
Okay.
is a beautiful 80 acres campus, and only about 420 students were there. Uh,
Oh,
that's where my initial foundations of building a strong personality, uh, you know, uh, uh, just not the education, but the debating skills, ability, the leadership
mhm.
skills, the living with harmony, and understanding different cultures from different states, different districts. Was a big exposure for me. That's when I started realizing that we live in a very coexisting world, where we have to depend on each other, and we have to respect and take respect, and build your personality around it, and compete with the best of the best, and put your best foot forward. That's where the major transition happened to me. I did really well in Mysore. Initially, it was a bit difficult for me. Coming from a joint family, to move out to the hostel was a bit difficult for me. But subsequently, after a couple of months or 3 months, I really adjusted there, and good foundations were laid for me. I did my 12th till 12th there. I my even my science scores were much better. My PUC percentage was about 95%.
Oh,
I had a decent chance to get into the medical field. My rank was below 1,000, but I had an inclination to do my engineering. So
okay.
that's when I decided that I should do my engineering, and I did my engineering in Manipal. And then after doing in my engineering in Manipal, there was definitely a lot of thought put behind whether should I go for my higher education, should I
Hmm.
go and join an industry and then go for my higher education. But
Hmm.
I did take a call regarding that particular aspect, and I said, let me complete my masters, because this is at age to learn, because it's very difficult once you're working in industry. It's very difficult to get back to education mode and start
True.
upskilling yourself with your better degree. That's when I decided to do my masters, and I went to Australia. It's a very well-known university in Australia. It's called Royal
Okay.
Melbourne Institute of Technology. Very good professors there, and I worked as a tutor there. I used to teach the undergrad students in basic programming skills, Java. I had a very good professor. He was a very good professor. He was basically from Israel. He was a Jew. His name
Okay.
was Isaac Balbin. He put a
Okay.
lasting impression on me in that university. I used to work under him, and that's when the liking for technology started. Going deep into the technical aspects, projects, late night projects in the university. There were days like I literally used to carry my small kit to the university. Though from my home to my university was about 15 minutes, but
Hmm.
I used to carry a small kit with me to the university, because sometimes I had to take bath at the university itself because of the assignments, late night assignments. The pressure will be so much when you're doing masters, that you have to be on your toes. You have to really work on it, because that's where they test us. They test us whether you're capable of doing a fantastic job, even with the stipulated amount of time. Those are very challenging days, but definitely I relished it. Meeting people from different countries, interaction, visiting their houses, learning their culture. having some good conversation with the different culture. We had people from various parts of the world over there. We had people from Lebanon, we had from Korea, we had from China, we had from England, we had from India, we had from New Zealand, even from America. So it's a very multicultural college, and just to get understand with and meet, discuss with them was phenomenal. It's once in a lifetime. If somebody gets an opportunity to go and study abroad, please grab with both hands. Don't leave it.
There are some differences in the way we approach these academic courses domestically and in abroad, right? So, what are the key differences that you saw, and what are those minute things that you are trying to implement in BITM that you experienced abroad?
Yeah,
Is there anything
the most
like
important aspect when I went for my studies abroad was there. It is learner centric. The most
yes?
important part was it's a learner centric, not teacher centric.
Okay,
There were teachers at the foreign university are basically facilitators there. They will just come, they will give a wonderful talk, then they open up the entire class for discussion. So there's a lot of things which have been given to us prior to us where we have to read and understand and come prepared for the class. Unlike in India, where the teacher goes about from the fundamental side, teach the each and every aspect, then he makes them to you to solve a particular problem, then he tries to give a solution. uh, in abroad it is more of a learner centric, where you have to do a pre-reading, you have to learn the fundamentals very much in advance. If you don't understand the fundamentals, you have to go and approach a particular teacher and discuss with him, find out what is this, get it, make your fundamentals strong. And then once the classes are there, they'll be teaching quickly, because they have to go through a lot of content and all, and a lot of interaction will be there, posting questions, just interaction with the teacher and cross questioning by the student itself. A lot of learning is to happen. As I said, in India, the teaching is more about teacher centric, whereas in abroad it's more of a learner centric.
okay,
That's the major important difference there. You have to, as a student, have to self propel yourself, self motivate yourself, and read those particular aspects. Then only you will be able to really connect with the particular faculty and do well. Obviously, because you have to do it, because the assignments are based on what the content has been delivered. In India, the problem is we have the theoretical knowledge, but it's not linked to the practical aspect. Whereas in abroad, anything that is taught in the class is definitely linked to a practical stuff. So you have to do it, then only be able to connect the dots. That's a major difference between in abroad education as well as in India. The few things that we have taken at my institution about this when I joined this institution was to change this particular culture. uh, we have made the students to be a more of a self learner. You have to push yourself, read the content, and then the faculty will be just like a facilitator, and he'll guide them or just give them some small inputs where the students have to start doing by themselves and start doing, because once only you practice it, you may fail, you may not be having the necessary knowledge to do it, but once you delve into it, you'll automatically start figuring it out and start doing much better in it. We are slowly making the transition, because yeah, the initial schooling and the kind of culture which the students have been brought up from their school till their PUC is quite different than what we are trying to do. Slow, we are making the transition, especially in the practical subjects, and more importantly in the programming subjects, and which is definitely connected to the industry. So the way that we have structured a course plan or a subject course plan is definitely a lot of prerequisite aspects is taught to the students and is given to them to read before they actually come to the class. And then a lot of lateral reading material has been given, something chapter that is there, we try to give them a web link and ask them to please read it, so that you'll much understand much better, and then you can definitely come back and with the meet the teacher and clarify any of the doubts. So it's a transition that we are making. We initially start in a slow phase in the first year level, but once the students come to the third year and the fourth year level, the teacher will be just be a facilitator. Majority of the students have to really figure it out and do it. It doesn't mean that we don't teach. We do teach and help the students in every important moments of their education in the subjects which they'll be reading.
When you made this transition from India to Australia, obviously there are going to be some cultural differences. So, how did you cope up with this, or how did you manage this cultural change?
Change. The most important part is, before I went to Australia, I did interact with a few of my seniors. The best part is when you're studying in a hostel, or when you're connected with so many friends of yours, we're living in different parts of the world. We try to reach out to them. I spoke to some of the people there, what kind of culture it is. I listened to some of the YouTube videos and saw them and understood like what as Australia is more like. They're very open-minded. The one thing that I learned from the education abroad is the dignity of labor there. Everybody is respected. No work is considered as inferior. You have to do all kinds of work there, and everybody respects that. Uh, and though I'm hailing from a very political family, where my family represented in politics for more than 50 years, and being brought up in a very safe environment and all everything. In spite of all that, and going to Australia was an eye opener for me. I just did not do the university work, because university is to function about out of 1 year, out of 12 months, about 10 months. We used to have just like about couple of months of vacations over there. And during the vacations time, I did go and work outside. You'll not believe, Manish.
Okay.
I did a door-to-door marketing there. Uh,
Oh,
and just to get an experience, just to understand like how it works, how the market works, because I have to earn money.
yeah.
It's very, very important that when you go abroad, you just cannot depend on your parents for everything, even for your day-to-day expenses and all. You have to work. So during the university time, when the university was functioning, I was a tutor. I did teach some few subjects, and my university is to pay some amount to me that was sufficient for me to manage my day-to-day expenses, as well as paying my rent for my apartment. But once university is not there, I did do an work outside. Did I sold internet, I sold mobile phones. I did some cold calling, just to earn money and just to get an experience like how it is and all. That's when I learned the dignity of labor. People respect, irrespective of what kind of work you did, they'll definitely respect you, and that is a major takeaway from me studying abroad.
I think Infosys was your first job after your master's, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
So, how was your experience like stepping into the corporate world for the first time?
Yeah,
Can you
yeah.
elaborate on that?
Infosys something which really company is one which quite excited me, because I did hear good things about Infosys in the newspapers and all everything. And when I stepped into the Infosys, I couldn't find much of an a large difference in terms of the culture, the corporate culture which I has to adapt. A lot of it, initial foundations were quite late to me during my master's education in university at abroad. Then where corporate culture is one aspect where they're task oriented. You need to be really on your toes, and sticking to the deadline is one aspect. And most important part is there's a lot of communication aspects that happens. You need to really connect with people from different parts of the world to solve their problems. Uh,
Hmm.
we used to have regular meetings, regular conversations with the clients, which are located in different parts of the world. So we did projects. We as a team there, we did projects for a very well-known company in the United States. It's called Nordstrom. It's a very much a known store in the United States. It's a high-end store which is in high-end clothing. So
Hmm.
we did some 3 4 projects for them. So it did require a lot of. It's a Seattle based company. Did require a lot
Okay.
of conversation. We need to really adjust to their timings. It's not that you ask them to adjust to your terms and condition. We have to really adjust to their terms and conditions, because whenever you're working in a corporate world, the important punchline is they say that a customer is the king, and the next line says, if you don't believe it, please read the first line. So this is the most
Okay.
important part there. Always the customer is the king in United States. They do give a lot of importance to the customer satisfaction. That's how the corporate culture came to me, and I realized that when you're part of a particular organization, you should always keep the customer perspective in mind, not your profits and losses, but keep the customer perspective in your mind. If you take care of your customers, if you really do a fantastic job with your customers, the rest of the things will automatically follow, and will take care of your entire organization.
When you went ahead and did an interview with Infosys or whatever the process is, like when a student is trying for the placement, how important it is for him to select the right company. So how can one individual analyze a corporate structure and ask himself whether I'll be happy in this structure? Should I work here? How should one go about it?
Yeah, see, once a graduate completes his degree and he wants to enter the corporate world, I honestly feel whichever the company that you're being offered a job, just take it,
Okay.
because you're just entering into the corporate world. You neither know the A or B or the C or the D of the company. First you have to work for about 2 or 3 years just to understand what is this company is all about. Definitely
Okay.
some of the choices that you can make is in terms of like in what technology they are working. And once you enter the company, definitely the company will map your potential and place you in projects which matches to your skill. And that's what the company want. They want you to fulfill a particular task that's been given to you. So any company that's an opportunity that's been given to you, please, I'd request the graduates, just go delve into it, work your way up. Probably in a year, you'll realize like where I'm standing. Definitely, in case if you're not that happy, you have an option for you to look something else. But uh, if you really want to grow in a particular company, really have a successful corporate career, you should think that it's just not a job, but it is something which I have to build a career over there. You should go with that particular attitude. They will put you in different circumstances there, and will place you in different, cha- you know, different challenges. They'll pose you on you. So you have to accept those challenges and go with one particular intention, that problems are opportunities in disguise. So then only you'll be able to really do well in a corporate career.
So, like, when did you decide that you have to quit Infosys and come back and run this institution? Was this always in your mind, or uh, did circumstances lead to you joining the?
It's a combination of both. What you said. One
Okay.
is is pretty doing well in Infosys and got an opportunity to even go abroad to United States, but suddenly there was a call from our family members saying that we need someone who can really take this institution to the next level. So it
Hmm.
was one of the most important decision in my life, whether to come back and start, helping my family to really make this institution to go better and create a good brand in the market. So it was a very difficult decision to make, but it did. Uh, uh, I did put a thought about it, in terms of looking at the larger picture. So one end I could have gone, you know, probably in the United States, settle in the United States, be there and work in many of the good companies and start earning there and be there happily with my family. That's it. But this was an opportunity for me where I'll be able to create an impact to the society, to the our employees who are working in the organization, the students at large. You know, I can really try to make some difference into their life by guiding them and taking them to the next level. And last but not the least, definitely is to make our institution to grow and make it really big. So probably these points weighed on me, and maybe one of the other factor that played also was my the late grandmother. My grandmother Srimati Basarajeshwari.
Yeah.
She by the time she had also fallen sick, she was not keeping well. That particular aspect also played in my mind, saying that it's high time for me that I should come back and start helping my family members to help and make them to make these institutions to grow. Yeah,
I just want to get your views on online teaching, not just in engineering, but I have seen my smaller cousins who are like in second grade who literally sit in front of the computer from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
yeah,
or something like that. And our government has even gone as far as banning online classes.
yeah.
So, how do you think we should implement online teaching in the new normal
Yeah.
and make this combination where this is not too much and also get the practical subjects in the curriculum as well?
Uh,
How do you?
yeah, these are unprecedented times, Manish. And these unprecedented times, the challenges are always posed. Uh, Whenever the challenges are posed, we should always go with a solution mindset, but not with a problem mindset. If you
Okay.
keep harping upon the problems, nobody will solve the problems. We should think in other way and say, how can we really solve that particular problem? So, first of all, the fundamental right of our constitution says that education is for all, and we need to provide education for everybody. That is a major fundamental right. The government of just not the government, but the constitution has really put it in black and white. And access to education is also important. In these COVID times, none of the parents are ready to take a risk to send their child to the particular school and expose them to the danger that it's posing right now.
Yeah.
So the only method is to address and to engage the students and ensure that the learning happens is through an online mode. You cannot replace, take it from me, you cannot replace the experiential learning of a child or a student going to the college, sitting with his friends in a class, listening to the teacher and learning there. You cannot replace that. That is impossible to replace. But these times, in these times, it's very much necessary now that we have to engage the child as well as the students at home through an online education. The one message that I want to put across to both the stakeholders, one is the parent and other is the teacher. If you look at the teacher side, first of all, the teachers have to get equipped with necessary skills how to do an effective online teaching. First of all, to for the online teaching to become very successful, it has uh, uh, three criterias. One is teachers should be equipped to deliver a good online class. Second, the student should be willing to sit in front of the laptop or a mobile and listen to the class and understand. Third part is the necessary hardware and the internet connectivity should be there for that online education to become successful. So if
Yeah.
you look at this angle, so these are the three important aspects in order the online teaching to become successful. First, the
Okay.
message to the faculty members is better equip yourself with online teaching, because we don't know when this particular thing will really stop. And the only way we have to engage is the child is through online education. Second, parents have to really put an hardened effort in order to ensure that the child sits in front of the computer or a system and starts taking the online education. Correct. And the two aspect to it. If we don't engage the child, anyhow, he's sitting at
Hmm.
home and spending in front of the TV or a mobile phone and
Yeah,
spending the same amount of screen time in at home. So it's
that is
better
true.
to engage them in an online class and give them in the form of an activity. I
Okay.
honestly, disagree with keeping the student in front of the computer or a television or in front of a TV, mobile phone for more than 4 to 5 hours for a second grade kid or a third grade. They cannot sit. People,
Yeah.
even it will affect their eyesight and all. I agree with it, but we can
Yeah.
change the way how we're going to do about the online education. The best
Yeah.
way that we can go about is doing an online education is, we teach them about 45 minutes to about an hour in in the form of a laptop and give them a home assignment for the next 2 hours. So the online will stop, uh, their
Yeah.
assignment will
Yeah.
start, and necessary input and the necessary material is already given in advance to the parent as well as to the student. And we should sit with the child and make them to work on that particular
Yeah.
assignment to be given. So it can be like, where a 1 hour of online classes takes place and couple hour of assignment work is given. Then again, probably about after the assignment is over, again the online class is switched on and any doubts are there that are very much cleared by the teacher. And then again, probably the next subject can be started. But continuously keeping the kid in front of the laptop or a mobile is not encouraging. We should not encourage that. But definitely, online education has to be imparted. If you just look at some of the countries, I'll give an example. In China, 120 million students are taking online education. 120 million because of this COVID 19.
That's yeah.
120 million students in China are engaged in an online education and they're completing their degree and they're completing their schooling. Even in United States, it's happening. It's happening in
Hmm.
every look and corner of the world. We our state, Karnataka state, being the forefront in the IT technology, should not shy away from the online learning. We have to
Yeah.
engage it. We have to find out about a way how we can make that online education much more effective. That is the major important aspect. And definitely, heads of the institutions as well as the teachers, the principals in our country are very smart, very much smart enough to come up with a particular model of doing an online education. I believe, Manish, problems are opportunities in disguise. Whenever the
True.
problems come are thrown at us, whenever it's been the from ages that whenever a problem has been thrown at a person, he finds out a way to solve it. So this is a problem that has been thrown onto us. We should embrace that online education, and most important is I shall also request the parents to pay the whatever it is. If the child is going through an online education from their school, do make a necessary fee payment to their schools, because the teachers need to be paid. And the entire, the community has to grow. The
Yeah.
community is the learning community. The learning community is the student, the parent, the teacher, and most importantly, the people who are running the institutions also. It's very much necessary that we all keep this perspective in mind and really embrace the online education, and just not brush it under the carpet and say no, we cannot do the online education. So we have to find out a way. If there is a genuinely a poor person, who cannot afford a particular laptop or a mobile phone, maybe the community at large, can pool some resources, can give them a particular mobile phone. In a home today, more mobile phones are there than the people at home. So if we can spare our mobile phone to any of the poor people and ask them to use it, there's nothing wrong in doing it. It's happening in different countries where people are actually pooling the resources and buying a new laptop or a mobile phone or a tab to a particular family, so that they're not left out from the education. It's happening in
Hmm.
the United States.
True.
I have my own sister's daughter. It's happened in their school itself. Poor parents who did not have a laptop or a tab, they did a crowdsource funding, and they bought a
Yeah.
laptop and a mobile phone to that particular family, and they're still engaging the students through an online class. So
Yeah.
we have to embrace it. There's no shying away from there. Yeah.
In this COVID world where companies are furloughing their employees and not a lot of companies are looking to hire,
Yeah.
so how do you think will this affect on placements, and what's your advice to the graduating class of 2020?
First of all, I honestly believe that companies are will definitely hire.
Hmm.
They will continue to hire uh, because of this COVID-19.
Okay.
Majority of the companies will start investing on the IT infrastructure. They have to become more agile and become more uh, you know. Flexible to adapt to this new conditions. So majority of the companies will invest in the IT technology. As far as the IT sector is concerned, where there are students, especially in engineering graduates who aspire to become a software industry, it will continue to grow. There'll not be any blip or any recession or something like that. The only thing,
Hmm.
now the companies will expect the graduate to have a lot of skills. Those were the
Yeah.
days where students were, just they have basic knowledge is sufficient for them to really clear. But going
Hmm.
forward, companies will expect you to know tremendous amount of skill in terms of solving their problems, because now companies cannot train them at their office. They expect you to hit the ground running by sitting at home, and you should be able to work from home. So that is with respect to the placement. In terms of the placement, or to all the students there, placement hiring will happen. Majority of the companies at whom we are in touch with, nobody has said they'll cut down their hiring prospects. Everybody is saying that they will hire, but they're expecting the graduate to know a lot of stuff. They should skills should be high. So please don't waste
Hmm.
time at home, and invest your time and energy in improving your skills. There's so many online tools for you to learn and become better. Coming back into the manufacturing sector,
Hmm.
definitely during the lockdown, the entire manufacturing sector was was not up to the mark and all.
Hmm.
But as things will start open, and government is looking to open up the economy in a phased manner,
Hmm.
definitely investments will happen, uh, and people will be hired in the manufacturing sector. But again, the condition is the graduate should be having all the skills, the communication skills, their technical skills, their business skills, everything, whatever the minimum skills that industry is basically looking at, they should have that particular skill. Then only the company will hire. But hiring will definitely take place, and there'll not be any, I'm very sure that there'll not be any recession.
So I also want to ask you about this thing, which the students are really excited about, because a lot of students have the strong opinion that VTU should cancel this examination, like this semester's exams, because they have not got the right online education, or they have not completely understood the syllabus. So, what do you think VTU should do, and what are your views on cancellation of exams? Whether you think VTU should just postpone it or cancel it, or what are your views on that?
Uh, there are two aspects to it. One is with respect to the final year engineering students. The
Hmm.
final year engineering students, they're almost you know uh, uh, compared to the lower semesters.
Hmm.
In the engineering final years engineering students, they'll conduct an exams, and they'll ensure that the degree is awarded so that they can go and join the company. Coming back to the first year, second year, and third year, conducting the examination uh, at this particular juncture is one of the catch 22 situations for the entire university itself.
Okay.
So, because if one area is normalized in terms of the number, the COVID aspect, the other area suddenly it shoots up. So it'll be
Hmm.
very difficult for the universities to really implement this particular, uh, uh, you know, uh, but their
Exams.
examinations
Yeah.
in these conditions. But I honestly feel the decision will be taken by the UGC and the university, and they will take in the best interest of the students itself. I honestly believe there are one way we can address this particular problem is number one. See, we have as far as engineering is concerned, classes were held only for about 1.5 months. That's it, and then subsequently there was a lockdown. So, in order to complete the syllabus, we basically need still 2.5 months to complete the syllabus.
Okay.
To some extent, the theoretical subjects as well as the mathematical subjects, we have covered all the modules and all the necessary chapters and all. Only thing
Hmm.
we have requested to the university is, if you are conducting an examination, please give about 20 days or 3 weeks time, where some of the critical subjects where it requires a recap of all the subjects, some of the
Hmm.
subjects we can definitely recap, and provided that things are quite normalized, they can conduct the examination. Uh,
Okay.
uh, but it all depends upon how things pan out in the next couple of weeks, and then accordingly the decision will be taken. And uh, honestly, if you ask me a straight question to me whether the examination should be conducted for first, second, and third year engineering, I would say, if conditions are better, please conduct. If conditions are
Hmm.
not good, probably we can take those credits. They have
Okay.
they'll be learning about 6 subjects, and
Hmm.
2 practicals that they'll be having, the majority of the engineering students. So some of the subjects can be taken in the coming semesters. That happens in abroad, that in United States or in Australia or in UK, a student can complete their entire master's degree in 1 year or 1.5 year or 2 years, based upon the number of subjects that you actually opt for. For example, a student who is really smart may say that, sir, I can complete my entire, the master's program in 1 year, because I have the capacity to read and complete it. But some of the students who are a bit average, they have the flexibility. You take only 3 or 4 subjects, and then you prolong it for almost 2 years, and then you complete the particular subject. So some kind of a flexibility has to be there from the university end, and I feel this is the way going forward, where the subjects, if the conditions don't improve, some of the subjects can be taken to the next semesters, and conducted in a very phased manner without affecting the students learnability and their performance. So I honestly feel these are the solutions for it, and definitely, the decision makers will keep all these aspects and then take a call.
So I want to end this podcast on a lighter note, sir. So I want to ask you, how important is fitness in your life? Because I usually go for a run, and I've seen you so many times. How important it is to have a fit lifestyle in an individual's life?
Yeah. First and foremost, I love playing sports. I was part of a football team in my school in Ballari. Even in Mysore, I was the captain of the football team. I When I played for my engineering days, we were the runners up for the entire VTU tournament. When we played the football tournament there. So I was part of NCC, National Cadet Corps. This all activities really excited me, and made me much fitter. But once I went to the abroad, probably the laziness struck, maybe the different working, uh, habits of staying awake late night and all took my fitness away, and I started
Okay.
putting on a bit of weight. Then
Okay.
that basically stuck me once I started working over here. When the work pressure started piling on me, I realized myself, this is not the way I lead a lifestyle. I need to become much fitter. I need to take some how I have specific institutional goals. I should also have some personal goals in my life, in terms of reading books and being leading a very fitter life. That's when I started. thinking about my fitness, and it's been almost about 18 months that I started working slowly way up in terms of my fitness, where I became part of my daily routines of having exercise, running, and
Yeah.
Bellari runners. We have a wonderful Bellari runners club here.
Okay.
Every Saturday we used to meet before this lockdown. Every Saturday used to be a group runs that we used to have each more, just to more ensure that we keep ourselves motivated and everybody pushes
Yeah.
each other to do some
True.
runs and become a part and parcel. But when I started doing it, I know I was always fitter. I played some very good football and all. I knew that I have my capacity. Then I started taking up the marathons. I already done three marathons. One I did in
Oh,
Bangalore, where I ran a half marathon for in 2 hours 2 minutes. Then I did one in
oh,
Goa, which was a very humid, but I had some injuries. I did not do so well. My timing also
mm,
spoiled a bit there. It went to two
okay.
hours 10 minutes. Then I came back and really worked on my fitness. Took some very good physiotherapy,
Mm,
improved my stamina, improved my fitness, and I participated in the recently TCS Mumbai Marathon, which is held in
okay.
Jan 2020, and I was able to do the half marathon in 1 hour 58 minutes. It was a sub
Oh,
two, so I did really improve myself. Then I started realizing definitely there's a potential in me. So I make it a
mm,
habit that every week I clock so many minutes on my fitness, and that keeps me really fit. It's very important that any person who's working, please put a considerable amount of time on your fitness, because once you have a good once you're fit, you have a better decision making. You will sleep much better. You'll feel lighter, and you can lead a better life rather than having a sedentary life. So this my honest request to
advice.
everybody who's been in their professional life and they're not into any of the fitness training. Do anything, maybe a yoga, a cycling, a running, a swimming. Just be a part of the fitness activity so that you keep yourself fit, uh, and you lead a very good life. That's the most important part.
Thank you for being on the podcast. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Manish. It was a fantastic conversation that we had. You made me to go through my entire life in the last 39 years.
Okay.
So it's fantastic, to recollect so many good moments of my life. And it was
Okay.
pleasure talking to you. And thanks for arranging this.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you.